Hello again. 6.0, reconvene open session, procedural business, 5:30 p.m. 6.1, call to order. The Board of Trustees are hereby reconvening the open session at 5:34 p.m. 6.2, roll call. Trustees identify themselves by first and last name to formally establish quorum. Dana Ridlett, trustee area 2.
Scott Pratt, trustee area 4.
Cindy Gardner, trustee area 3.
Jordan Zarate, trustee area 5, Reading Springs, Elder Lake, Green Valley.
Dr. William Ellinger, trustee area 1.
6.3, Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to call on Molly, please, to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance, if you're all right with that. Okay.
Place to go to the flag and put your hand up to your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
7.0, closed session report. 7.1, announcement of reportable actions taken during closed session. There were none.
Point of order, can we note for the record the time that Scott Pratt came into closed session for the minutes?
You bet. It was, so that was at 3:51. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Eight point zero, public testimony. We have none. 8.3, Room Teachers Association, CSC, California School Employees Association, CSCA representative. Do we have for RTA? Ms. McCook, if you could step on up, please.
Hello, guys and gals. Nick is actually our president, and she is at RHS right now dealing with getting the kiddos home from their drama practice. So I'm not completely just on the fly a little bit. So here we go. I did have some remarks because I always have remarks in my head. So I have some little thing. Good evening, board members. First, let me sincerely thank you for your decision. Some of the stuff is the gospel according to Sydney. It's not all RTA, but so first, let me sincerely thank you for your decision to split our TK program at BOE into 3 classes. That action has made a real difference already. With smaller class sizes, for example, I have 18 right now. With smaller class sizes, teachers are able to give students the attention they need, whether that's helping a child who's just beginning to write their name, guiding another as they navigate friendships, or celebrating those small moments of growth that build confidence. I've already been able to talk multiple children through multiple tantrums, supervise and bring back the lopers, de-escalate violent behavior, engage with children at their level, plan messier activities like shaving cream, and lead various off-key musical performances, all because of our smaller class sizes. And as both a teacher and a parent, I can tell you my heart is full, knowing that my own child and every child in TK will have more one-on-one support brings peace of mind that's priceless. You did the right thing and it shows, and I'm very thankful. But here's the truth. TK shouldn't be the exception. Smaller class sizes are not a luxury. They are essential to student success at every grade level. When there are 28, 30, or even 37 students in a room, even the most dedicated teacher cannot give every child the individual time and guidance they deserve. We end up putting out fires instead of lighting sparks. If we want real equity, if we want stronger outcomes, and if we want to retain excellent educators in this district, then smaller classes must be standard, not the special case. I urge you to build on the wise decision you made for TK and expand it across all grade levels. A little bit on the fly now. RTA is excited and hopeful for the coming school year. We know that everyone in this room and many outside are working to benefit our students and staff. We know that we can work together to make students, teachers, staff, and of course the almighty budget happy. We are excited to see the bond money start to benefit students, staff, and facilities, and we are excited to work together for the betterment of our.
She just walked in. She just walked in.
Anyway, thank you again for listening and for taking action where it matters most, our students' future.
You did great. Thank you.
It's fine.
Is there anybody here for COCA? Move on. Excuse me, we did adjust our agenda before we went into closed session, so we've moved 11.1 to this point right now, so 11.0 discussion action items, 11.1. Superintendent vote to seat student representative Molly Gilbert from Liberal High School, fiscal impact none. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Bill,
Second.
Scott. Any discussion? Calling for a vote, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So now we will skip back to 9.0 reports and presentations, 9.1 student representative report, Molly Gilbert, Liberal High School.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. Sorry, I got a little excited.
No, Molly, if you want to report from there, you're fine, or you can do it from over here on the microphone. Either way.
Take your pick.
And there,
I'm halfway here. I'll just
Okay.
say here.
got it. You're gonna hit the button on there to make sure it shows red.
Have bad vision, so I'm gonna read off here instead of a big screen. Okay, elementary schools. Fun times. Dental screenings happened. They were great. On September 13th, all elementary sites participated in the district-wide dental screenings for students in grades K through 5. Local dentists and hygienists volunteered their time to provide free dental health assessments supported by the Lake Arrowhead Rotary Club, sometimes Mountain Sunrise Rotary Club of Crestline Lake Gregory, and the HAFDRA, who supplied all necessary materials and volunteers. I have a friend who's in high school who's actually interested in being a dentist who got to volunteer. I know there are a couple other students who got to volunteer there too, so that was cool. Well, student on student vibes. The fall fundraiser, BOE's fall PTA fundraiser kicked off last week and runs for 2 weeks. Just after the first week, the PTA is already close to reaching its $25,000 goal. Funds raised will support assemblies, field trips, trunk or treat, and other PTA-sponsored programs that directly benefit BOE students. CHE just wrapped up our Step It Up fundraiser and raised about $20,000 to benefit our student programs. Good things. Book fair. Our book fair is coming to the library in 9/29 to 10/3. Thanks to PTA, we are looking for volunteers to help our students. And then also fun, parent-teacher conferences. Our time is coming up fast. We are proud that many of our classes run student conferences in which the kids take responsibility for their learning and goals. We have to have a great turnout after we had many of our families attend back school night. Love it. In the future, PTA, CHE, and PTA are hosting a family movie night at 6:30 tomorrow. Ooh, that's fun. Free of charge. CHE's Fall Festival will have a literary theme this year. Love that. We're excited to participate in Paint the Plow and trunk or treat activities. I'll have to be educated on Paint the Plow. I don't know what that is. That sounds like fun. Okay, MPH. Back to School Night was on August the 28th. It was paired with a week-long scholastic book fair. So much fun. Everyone loves a book fair. It's a great time. MPH MTSS committee is hard at work to exemplify our tiers of support, making sure every student gets what they need when they need it. PTA doing great things everywhere. They had an amazing glow dance party at the middle school. It was fun, good time, everyone was glowing. I know I did that when I was in middle school and it was a great time. I wore a neon yellow dress, so some fun things. This week in social studies, students are casting votes for the school site council representatives. A little democracy in action, which is fun. I think that's a newer program. I don't know how long it's been around, but I don't think that was around when I was in middle school, so that's really cool. A big shout out to our teachers who've been absolutely crushing it in their PLC work, collaboration at its finest. And finally, MPH is proud to announce that they have earned the Bronze Ribbon of Inclusion Award from East Valley SELPA. celebrating equity and belonging. Okay. Next up, we got Mountain High School. 75% of student population is new students for the 2025-26 school year. In this, our Eagles are beginning to dive into the next step in their high school careers. From juniors deciding to transfer to Rim High School or from Rim High School or Rim Virtual Academy to seniors graduating early, despite students' plans, graduating on time is our #1 priority, and locking in their achievement with a lock of their own on our chain link fence for years to come. Love a pun. Esports. That's so fun. Online sports, their video gaming is coming in October. Mountain High School is thrilled to partner with Play VS, LAUSD, and HUSD on competing professionally for scholarship opportunities for our students. Students with good behavioral and attendance standing and are on track to graduate are eligible. So much fun. And we also got a gardening club and a skateboard club is underway. Ooh. Next Steel Skateboard Club for Rim. That sounds like fun. Next up, Rim Virtual Academy. They had a back to school night, allowing both pre-enrolled and newly enrolled families to join our school community on the spot. From free student planners, mouse pads, mouse clickers, stickers, student families enjoyed a much needed catch up among one another, reintroduced with new and familiar students and teachers, and received a refresher on our school system, which I think is cool. We had a back to school night, even though it's virtual, so that way you kind of still like know who everyone is, even though you're like all online together. They also got esports. Mr. Kiwi, are we getting esports?
Not yet.
I want esports. Esports is coming in October. Like, so jealous. They're also partnering with Play VS, LAUSD, and HUSD on competing professionally for scholarship opportunities for our students. For Mario Kart Club, Super Smash Brothers Club, and Splatoon Club, students in good academic and behavioral standing are eligible to join. This is not fair. Can I join? Students are beginning to be sorted into their learning language houses, an MTSS model spin on Harry Potter and Game of Thrones during our October Mixer. We'll dive more into how our students earn points individually and collectively. Fun stuff going on at RVA. Let's see. Next we got RIMS. What? This one I can probably give a little more insight on. The CTE applied for a CTEIG grant for $380,000. California State University San Bernardino dual enrollment process continues, so RJ students can earn college credits in selected courses. Big fan. A lot of the people I've been talking about in our AP classes, we want it right now because it's good. It's like automatic credits no matter what. Like AP, if you take it, you don't pass the AP test, you're so screwed. But this one you just have to pass the class. So academics. Our student-centered master schedule had minimal shuffling needed. Good things. The California College Guidance Initiative continues to be better utilized across grade levels as counselors will give 10th grade grad plan meetings. Third year intro collab classes with co-taught classes in post grades 9 to 5 times in academics. Counselors are great. I love them. Our RIM counselors, they work so hard. RHS team highlights. Woo! Teams assembled, met with priorities set. Big dreams with small teams. Site leadership, SLT, set goals and monthly PLC. I don't know what that's supposed to say. PLC, EV, SELPA training, annual goals and EL data drive. The Scrub Squad did some campus beautification. I love that name. It's so much fun. So much better than an acronym. MTSS supports for attendance, academics, and behavior. Then athletics, fun time. Football was King of the Mountain against Big Bear. Woo! On their home turf, too. Woo! We're awesome. First ever Rim Girls flag football season kicked off. Also amazing. I know the girl who kind of started that club going. Everyone in it's super excited. So it's great. And then girls volleyball and cross country are winning. Yay! We love our sports. They're doing great. And then finally, Rim High School Part 2. We're going to have a college and career fair. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a bunch of vendors. We're going to learn about colleges and careers. Homecoming. also gonna be so much fun at Sam Rick's Lodge. And then Scott's University and College Awareness Night on 9:30. And then that blurry picture in the corner there, I believe is Mr. Kingy killing the bear before our King of the Mountain game. I think it was good luck. And I think this might need to be a new tradition because everybody loved it. And that's all from me. Thank you guys.
I think we have to clarify that no bear was harmed.
No.
We have to say that.
Thank you, Molly. 9.2 governing board members. Bill, you want to start it off?
So the first, most of us attended a lot of the back to school nights, and what great times to be on campus, to see the students and the parents and the staff. And thanks to everyone who made all of our back to school nights exceptional. And it's everyone who participated, including the PTA and especially Trustee Gardner, who provided cookies for us to give out sometimes as trustees. So thank you, Trustee Gardner. I'm really looking forward, hopefully, to starting the bond process for our district and for the future things that we want to accomplish with the infrastructure. I participated in dental screening at VOE, where again, we were actually done by noon, but we saw something like 300 students there. But it's exceptional volunteering that takes place. All those who participate in that is really exceptional. The dentists that come and give their time, hygienists, as well as after, and what they do to make it all a very successful event. And of course, should note Rotary. I just want to say thank you to all of our PTAs and what they do to support our students from the fundraising and all, because all those events that you're raising money for, Cindy, it's not for you.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to Aruba.
It's for all the students, and so we do really appreciate that. Stephanie, I'm looking forward to the Career and College Fair next Thursday. And you're still taking more applicants to come in, right? You don't have enough yet, right? Only, what was it, 60 or something like that? 54. Oh, 54. So you need 6 more community organizations to come. Yeah, I hear Boom's going to be there. There's going to be all kinds of equipment there. It's going to be special. So looking forward to helping you out with that again. You do an exceptional job, and it's really important for our students. And thank you, Lord, for mentioning that, Molly. And just a final note, we're in a tough season of life, I think, in our world. Conflicts that continue. The death of Charlie Kirk last week. We have to be sensitive to what's going on all around us and care about the people that are with us. And we never know when it might be a goodbye. And so let's make sure that we're always treating one another exceptionally well. Thank you for that investment.
Jordan, are you up for go ahead?
Sure thing. I'll keep my comments to, some of the recent things that we've got going on at the district. Yes, back to school nights were great to go to. I'll keep it brief here. With the adopted advocacy platform that the district adopted back in June during our board retreat, we're looking forward to taking that and leveraging it. The state legislative session has ended, so we're going to be looking to try to get some time with our state legislators. And if you happen to have some time and are able, next Tuesday evening at the PAC at Rim High, we will have, Senator Ochoa will have a town hall. So whole community is welcome. So if you have anything that you'd like to discuss, advocate for our community, provide feedback on, that's a very good opportunity to go and do that. We will, of course, try to do our best to be there and bring our adopted advocacy platform. We'll also look for hopefully dedicated time some year on that. I'm very much looking forward to Fall Festival this year. With that, I think I'll pass on.
Thanks, Jordan. Cindy?
Clarification, PTA funds really don't fund my trip to Aruba. I always have wishful thinking, but that's not going to happen yet. It's a dream. I want to go there. Be under an umbrella with someone. I want to thank everybody for a great start to the school year. I know that we had a meeting last month, but now we're seeing everybody hit their stride. You see the climate and culture come together at each school site. We see it when we visit on back to school nights, and which are really fun. It's really fun to the elementary school kids just crack me up. The littles, they're so adorable. And when we were at CHE, we were handing out cookies, and Bill was having great conversation, and everybody was having great conversations, and we were communicating with parents, like, what do you like about our district? What don't you like? And my questions were to the kids, like, what's your favorite thing on your campus? What's your favorite thing? And the answers are pretty adorable. Learning was a big, huge answer. I was like, does that mean you like your teacher? Yeah, love my teacher. And I'm like, so what else do you love? And I got things like math. I was like, wow, okay, that was exciting to hear math. And then the other big response was my friends. The kids really come to school. They love to be with their friends. That helps them engage and stay involved in coming to school every single day, trying to whittle down that chronic absenteeism that we seem to all have an issue with. So it was really great to hear the responses from our parents. There were lengthy conversations with some of our parents, which were really engaging, more engaging than anything prior, I think. Yes, we've decided to rename our time with trustees to Cookies with Questions. So there you go. We're excited about that. So we're going to continue that practice of having our table out for people, having swag, yes, bribing people with cookies to come talk to us. And just want to put it out there. Please come. As Jordan says, please contact us. Please, we are responsive. I do receive phone calls and had one yesterday with some concerns. So we do make ourselves available. And then I'm excited for fall as well. I love all the things that are coming up in October, the fall festivals, at this trunk or treats, Red Ribbon Week, which is a very strong message. And then just another thing for the high school, from high school PTSA is doing its annual electronic recycling e-waste program. Mark Malone is so excited. I'm hearing we're getting like 20,000 pounds of e-waste from the district. Okay. Jim Zimmer elaborate. He kind of lies sometimes to me. Just kidding. But just please come, community members, teachers, staff, students, everybody come and bring your e-waste Saturday, October 4th, 9 to 3. This is really a community event. It's, even though we get money for it, it's still necessary for the community. And with that, I'm looking for forward to college and career as well. It's gonna be fun. My 2 chicks are gonna come, and I'm hoping that Kira will be able to show a clip of the movie that she directed that she's finishing. It's a horror film, so we will make sure it's appropriate. No killing. Promise, no blood. All right, that's it.
Thanks, Cindy. Scott?
Yeah, thank you. Back to school night was great. It was awesome to see. The theme seemed to be pride. Everybody was walking around. I've never seen it that exciting for the kids when they walk around and they're meeting everybody, and especially the high school, everybody was having a good time. So I commend all the teachers and everybody involved. And speaking of getting involved, join the PTA. Was it PTSA? Both. Join those, get involved. I was told I have to especially give a shout out to the RIMED Foundation. That what a great organization. I mean, they have, since they started, donated $778,000 since 2010. Incredible. I'm gonna try and become a bronze member because that's about all I can afford. I want to also thank Molly for being here. I look forward to this whole year. Your commentary is awesome. Keep us engaged and paying attention. So I hope you're also involved in drama. I think that's going to be a good suit for you. And you don't have to wait on Mr. Keeney to do anything. If you want esports, if you want a skateboard club, go for it. You just have to go after it. So you're not beholden to him at all.
I'm just worried. I never would have trained.
And just lastly, a shout out to all our sports. I love sports and they're off to a great start and I think you're gonna have a great year. But most importantly, I'm excited about the bond and what's gonna happen with the bond moving forward. And all the schools are gonna be represented and keeping our kids safe. And it's an exciting time for that. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Madam President, shout out to Scott, who was also recognized for, Hall of Fame for rim sports. So really congratulations, Scott. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Okay, I've got a few things to say as well, with my glasses on. Really enjoyed, helping out with the dental screenings. VOE had way too many volunteers and I head over to Hoffman and was very happy to help there. And there are a couple of high school students who were integral with the, screenings. One of them happens to be applying to, universities next couple of months, to become a dentist. So very, very cool to have that, opportunity for the students to help out and to just zip through screening TK, or actually kindergarten through fifth grade students, with the intention of going back and being able to be seeing some additional work with the students who need them, all with parent permission. And what an incredible program, and run all by volunteers with support from the Rotaries. It's really fantastic. Catherine does a great job with that. Really enjoyed going to back to school nights. I think cookies are like the key. And the amount of feedback, we've been doing time with trustees and other names as well for past several years. And this was fun. It was fun. And also there was, I think a lot of the parents, of course, we would bribe them with cookies, but really encourage them to provide criticism and or positives, wanting to be able to really authentically hear what they had to say. And really got some fantastic feedback and really, I think we talked to more parents or actually talked to more people at Hoffman that one night than we've done in all time with trustees, the exception of one that I can think that was at Higher Grounds. But all, it was a record if we had 2 or 3 folks show up. And here we got some really great information. So cookies are the key. So thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Bill, for having that idea. It was lovely. And then just also thank you to this, everybody in the school district for having such a strong start of the school year. It seems like in a lot of ways, no news is good news in terms of how things have been proceeding, but at the same time, there's so much work that's going on, so much fantastic things that are going on. So just thank you so much. Events of the past couple weeks, actually even for the past couple of years, have been troubling. More recently, in recent weeks, there's some things that have really brought some things to my head that I do want to mention. How incredibly important education is in this day and age. And education not necessarily filling empty vessels with knowledge, but more so really encouraging our students to research and think and to challenge each other with provocative questions and to listen. Right now, I'm very concerned about society and our lack of debate, our lack of civil discourse, and what's prompt action on whatever side of the aisle you want to look at in terms of really horrific behavior. And I think one of the things that maybe our society is not well equipped to take right now is thoughts and ideas that may be different from their own. There's a lot of information out there, whether it's AI generated or reality and edited or full on reality that is unedited. And I'm very worried that folks are taking the Cliff Note versions of whatever situations that might be occurring and not digging deeper, not looking further, taking people's word for it, who might have an angle or might be wanting to get folks to think a certain way. And I think education is key right now more than ever. We need to get to authentic sources and teach our kids to get to authentic sources and really learn the truth of what's been happening, whether it's painful or not. It's scary. And if we don't have an educated population, we are vulnerable to propaganda that folks on any side of the aisle with any kind of political beliefs or beliefs in general might be using to to try and propagate ideas that might be doing harm, and that scares me. So it's a plea for me to administrators, to educators, anybody involved with educating our youth and also educating each other to be open-minded, to listen, and to do our homework and encourage others to do their homework to really get to authentic sources and learn what's really going on. So I'm not trying to propose any one direction, it's just seek the absolute truth and get to the basics. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know how much that's going to be heard, but it's my plea to you. With that, I'm going to end my comments and move on to 9.3, Superintendent Dr. Paul Saviano.
Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of things I want to highlight. One is we have a district-wide strategic plan, and I want to share kind of the process. Last year, we started partnering with our community, with our parents, with our staff, with the Board of Education, and the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools Office to really develop a plan in terms of based on the needs of our district, and to listen to families, listen to the community about what are the things that we need to address in terms of improvement. And what we created was a continuous improvement document, and that is the strategic plan. I wanted to share the highlights of that. It's really based on 4 broad LCAP goals: student learning, safe and positive climate, engaged family and community, and fiscal accountability and facilities. That document has been really a part of how we do our work recently, looking at the work that needs to be done in the area of student learning. And each year we'll update that plan and get feedback from the community. However, student learning is a piece that we really are going to focus on this year to really drive our improvement as measured by state assessments. And one of the things that we're looking at is, and I want to share that I was a fly on the wall today in back of the room observing teacher teams from all the district, throughout the district, looking at an assessment platform. Because that assessment platform is going to give us back some data we need to be able to provide, intervene and support students when they're not successful. And what I just was so proud of the effort by all the teachers who gave the feedback, really honest feedback. It was like an inquisition, actually, for some of those presenters. We looked at 3 platforms and some really, really outstanding questions that came from our teaching staff. I also want to highlight the work of putting that together. Jennifer Whiteside, our Director of Education, did a phenomenal, the TOSA team did an outstanding job of putting together that assessment, review. And I just was thoroughly impressed with the teachers, the administrators in the room, sincerely wanted to get this right for the district and pick the platform that's going to meet the needs of our students. I also want to highlight on student learning, and it's today, I know the RIMAD Foundation and the going to be recognizing them for, obviously our K-12 STEM program with UC Davis and funding to support us in that area. That's really going to drive what we do in math. Kids are learning differently now, and we need to adjust with robotics and hands-on experience, but they still do need the essentials, and this can provide both for students. So I want to commend you for our partnership. And lastly, I want to commend Ms. Haberlin for the facilities board study session and bringing together the community on trying to decide where our priorities are as a district. And I really felt that that was extremely well done. An hour and a half. I might have been to a board meeting that fast here.
Okay. Lord, Father God.
That's it,
Yeah. So it was, and arriving on our priorities for facilities, it was an extremely well done process. And I want to commend Ms. Hamlin and her effort and the team for putting that together. With that, I just also want to make sure that I acknowledge the work that's been done to have a terrific start to the school year. Extremely good start. I've heard nothing but positive things. Well, I would say nothing positive. But overall, I did the feedback. I attended the back to school night. Thank you to LAE. I had to park only 3 blocks away, but that was a good thing. That was a good thing. And It was well attended by our community, and the positive comments I heard about them was very, very rewarding. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Saviano. 9.4, educational services. Room of the World Educational Fund Foundation presentation of checks. UC Davis, C staff.
Where do we push the button?
So like. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you. We like your guidance, your direction. We are so thrilled to be a part, and we thank school board member Kraft, Mr. Kraft, and we really support what you said, Dr. Sevillano, is supporting the educational programs for enhance the learning of our students. Our foundation is filled with dedicated people who support your concepts of enhancing learning experience. And what we do is we spend a great deal of time getting together to support those concepts. But it was interesting when we went to each of the back to school evenings, they were dynamic. And as we engaged the parents, many of them had no clue that RIMED had supported the educational programs in their particular school. We shared that we had provided over $780,000 to our school district. And they looked at us like, are you sure of that number? And we had a printout that said what we had donated to their particular school the previous year. And they were surprised, they were shocked, and some of them were hesitant to accept what we were saying. We did get volunteers who said, well, send me more information. I'm interested in learning about what you guys do. We're not here to help buy paint or carpet. It's all about our students. And you, young lady, are a wonderful representation of what we've got in our schools. And I want to thank you for your expressing yourself and your expertise. You're outstanding. Just want to say that.
Thank you.
Today,
You know,
we're here.
that you're Benita, speaking of Molly, our student, we send it to you.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Molly, I mean, there are several young ladies, young women there. And you all are wonderful and terrific. Molly, you're extremely outstanding.
Thank you.
So we're here in support of the UC Davis STEM project that by having that work done and presented it to us, Jennifer, we understand the value of that enhancing the learning of our students. So we just had a few dollars around 48,000 that Jennifer thought would be beneficial for our students' learning, involvement in this project, and the involvement of the educators who are going to ensure this project will work for our students. As we do this, we do it with genuine pride. We are proud of the work that our district does. We're darn proud of the work our RIMED does. And if any of you have any interest, just give us a call and we're available to answer most of your questions. If not, we'll call Molly and get the rest of the answers. It's interesting to hear about the college and career days. That is an outstanding opportunity for our students to know that there are many opportunities available to them, and we're supportive of that as well. We have given scholarships to students who are in the AVID program, and that's because AVID is part of the programs that we support. Want to thank you and have a wonderful year.
Check, come on.
Oh,
Make them. I'm source right against.
just an FYI, Cindy used to be on our board.
Yeah,
That's why she went to the big board.
Thank you. Joe Benita said, I'm sorry, you can't be on her board anymore.
We got work to do.
I said she would be sweet.
All right, let's
Go back, let's go back.
Joe Benita, go up back to.
Because I'm short.
Somebody else will follow?
Yeah, you. Here we go.
There you go. Students that are behind me, is there students that are behind me?
You're gonna stand my toes back there.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to help you with that?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let us. Oh. No, chicken water. Oh, yeah. There. Okay. Good to have this. Good to have that.
Nine point five, educational services, presentation of school highlights at Lake Arrowhead Elementary, LTE. This is long.
Good evening, board, cabinet, audience, YouTube audience. Thank you for having me. I get to brag about my little people, trying my best not to cry. I know, I can't.
I'm all right.
Thank you, lovely assistant.
Did you guys check out our boots with boots or what are you doing?
They're hiding behind.
They're so.
Thank you, Cindy. So did you say we have the same ones? We have matching boots? Okay. I can't wait to see your face when you see which ones I have on. Oh, we have matching.
Can't wait to see your face when you see I know.
All right, so as I said, I'm the proud principal of Lake Arrowhead Elementary. I am an alumnus of Lake Arrowhead Elementary School. I went there from kindergarten to sixth grade, MPH, graduated from the world. Cabinet got to hear me sing vertical alma mater. No, I won't do it again right now. Maybe another time. Tonight we're talking about Lake Arrowhead Elementary School. Maybe not.
You can sing their song.
I don't think I need an alma mater. So I wanted to highlight yet again our 7 habits and kind of talk about how they match up with our core beliefs here in the district. So I get to cheat a little bit because this is something that we already do. So I get to say to my staff, our core beliefs are not anything we haven't been doing for years. We just call them something a little bit different. So impactful actions align with our habits 6 and 7. Our synergize and sharpen the saw, align actions align with habit 4 and 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and think win-win. And habits 3, 2, and 1 align with future focus, be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first. So when we talk about core beliefs, we kind of synergize and add those together, and we get to say that we have been doing those things for a couple years before we named them. So we continue to do that, and we have so many student leaders now. They're going to be teaching the classes before we know it. So our site goals aligned with the LCAP are increase student achievement, facilitate safe schools and positive climate, and engage family and community. I'm going to go over those a little bit more in detail, but that's a quick summary of some of our practices that we incorporate at LAE. And we have a slide for each one of those. So goal 1, I know it's meaty. I won't read all of it to you guys, but we have a big focus on academics. Our three sections of Leader in Me are culture, academics, and leadership. So we focus big on academics, student goals. We have a big push with research-based literacy at LAE. We started Science of Reading years ago. We incorporated Orton Gillingham. My staff is awesome. And when Orton Gillingham was offered in both comprehensive and morphology, they jumped on the opportunity. It was an optional training, and we had a lot of people that went and got trained in the first round and are excited to be trained whenever the opportunity presents itself in the next round. Instructional aides were trained, and so I'm proud that was optional. It was a 5-day training, and a lot of my staff participated. Some of them participated in both, so they have the full gamut of Orton Gillingham. And we continue our collaboration process through PLC. We have had really good representation at the Guaranteed and Viable Curriculum, the GVC days that the TOSAs and Ed Services have put on. And that has helped us immensely. And I've kind of seen it in our iReady data. You guys will see that in a little bit. And we incorporated our classified staff into our Leader in Me. So they're now part of our action teams. So they have a say in our culture, our academics, and our leadership. They have a voice now on our decisions that we make at the school site. And we have individual, class, and school-wide WIGs. We call them they're wildly important goals. We call them WIGs. So we have a math focus and an ELA focus, and we have the students create their personal WIGs. We have class ones, and we have mostly met last year our WIGs for both ELA and math. Thank you, Mark. Okay, our goal 2, facilitating safe schools. We have the student leadership focus that creates buy-in. So we have positive behavior through that. The kids have a lot of say in what happens at the school site. What do you guys want to do for incentives? We have a cubby coupon incentives. I have done ninja training that they have bought into, which is they can't touch the lasers. They're made of string, and they get to come play with me. We do pizza parties, we do lunch with the principal, we do extra PE, we have done a bunch of incentives, but they come up with what they want to do. They let me know what would be fun for them and what's important to them. We have restorative practices such as ink sheets and the peace path. The peace path is very cute. It has little, Rob made it for us at RIM, and it makes the kids cry, and all I do is facilitate how we problem solve and how we get along. They talk about how they made each other feel, and at the very end, they end with a fist bump, a hug, or a high five, and they go on their merry way, or we start all over again. That has really helped with some of our older kiddos that get their feelings hurt and struggle to get along when they're going through some changes in 4th and 5th grade. We have a safety team who conducts our drills and safety checks every month, social stories and social emotional curriculum. Our bottom picture there is a guest reader. Her name is Heather Avis. She is actually a ready to graduate, and she is focused on inclusion. She has written 3 amazing books. She came and read to all of our classes. We had the Inland Empire Therapy dogs that came to sit with some of our struggling readers, and the kids came and read to the dogs. That was amazing. And we have student and class mission statements. Again, a lot of that student-led leadership. Something I'm really proud of is our community involvement. We've had a lot more community involvement over the years. Last year, we celebrated 94 volunteers at our volunteer breakfast. It was a lot of people. I stayed up really late making breakfast casseroles the night before to feed and celebrate our amazing volunteers. We had a Meet the Masters trainer, and we had Meet the Masters volunteers for every classroom last year. So every classroom got to participate in that. We have Arrowhead School of Dance that has come. We have good relationships with Grand Family Services, our Grand Ed Foundation, Mountain Counseling and Training, Heart and Lives. We see a lot of them on our campuses, and I have good relationships with them. They're serving our community and they're serving our kids, and we've seen some positive behavior outcomes having them on campus. We've been to the Mountain History Museum and the Arboretums, Snow Valley with our ski trips. And another thing to be proud of is our student-led conferences. So typically our 3rd through 5th grade, they come with their leadership portfolios and they lead the conferences with their parents, which is amazing. It creates real responsibility with the students to be proud of their learning and to take control of their. California School Dashboard, you know, we always have to put this in there. This is 2024. We reduced our chronic absenteeism and our suspension rate through Leader in Me and positive behavior intervention. English learner progress, that one is a work in progress, but when we get to our positives, you guys would be really excited about them. English language arts and math, according to CASP, still work in progress, but we have seen some positive academic success through iReady. So I hope that the CASP data mirrors that. We'll see in the middle of November that hopefully that's how it happened. Some of our positives, and this is the part where I try not to cry. We had 48 EL students last year and 25% of the students reclassified. So, and that's our EL unfortunately did a phenomenal job. Our teachers are doing designated ELD. They're really making sure that they're hitting those 4 things with reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And I was just so proud as I was going through the LPAC assessment results and I kept saying 4, 4, 4. And I was just so proud of our kids because it is a really hard assessment and to be able to reclassify with all the criteria is challenging for our kiddos. And I'm just very proud of them. iReady data, I'm sorry. It's always the part that makes me cry. Our iReady data, I look at our beginning diagnostic and our end diagnostic, and we had a huge difference from 323 kids at the beginning of last year, 1 or 2 grade levels behind, and at the end we had 84 students, and that was in math. So we had it was a big shrink of those red and orange kiddos, and it's just, we're really proud of all of the work that our teachers have been doing and all of our staff. I mean, we just have an amazing staff. And this is the first year that I've started with a full certificated staff of this. It was very exciting. And then in ELA, we started with 252 kids 1 to 2 years behind. And then we ended the year with 72. And we just have this steady pool of volunteers. We have ELAC parents that are participating in DLAC and our LCAP meetings. And we have school site council that continues to grow, and we have had quorum every meeting, so that's definitely a positive. And we already have 30 volunteers that have been trained and are ready to go LAE. So we're bringing them all in. They're excited to be there and participate.
I was trained.
You were trained, yes.
I was.
Yes, she's on the list. So I want to take a look at one of our core beliefs, our aligned actions. So like I said, we work really hard to give every student what they need. This is a picture of some of our moderate to severe SDC students. They're participating in our general education recess and lunch times, and our kids are all together. They're all playing together. So this just warms my heart because it shows that we're really working on those inclusive practices, and our kids don't see that they're all different from each other. They're just all having a great time playing together. So we work really hard to give the kids the support that they need. We listen to the community through our measurable results assessment, through Leader in Me and our Kelvin, and we make adjustments as needed to get the kids what they need, to get the staff what they need, and the staff gets to say if they feel like the culture is being positively impacted or negatively, and we make adjustments as a team. So we believe that every child deserves an adult who sees their potential and believes in them, and everyone at LAE has genius. All of those kids in that picture, all of our staff members. So. And here's my kids preparing.
Good morning, LAE leaders. We are Piper and Gavin from Mrs. Wilson's 5th grade class. Our quote for the week is, if you take responsibility for yourself, you will develop a hunger to accomplish your dreams.
They do this every
We are focusing on habit 1 this week. Habit 1, be proactive. I am a responsible person. I take initiative. I choose my actions, attitude, and moods. I do not blame others for my wrong actions. I do the right thing without being asked, even when no one is looking.
Thank you, Piper and Gavin. That's
For
probably
lunch
more-
this week, Heidi and Erica are serving on Monday sub sandwiches, nachos, and mini cheeseburgers. On Tuesday, popcorn,
You can stop it. Unless you guys want to hear the pledge of allegiance.
and chef salad. On Wednesday,
That's okay.
chicken nuggets and cheese pizza. Thursday,
The entire school has this cute thing where they say, I pledge of allegiance, and I think it's the cutest thing, that little, I pledge of allegiance. They haven't taken the of out, and we do Friday flag every Friday. We get together as a school. And it hasn't changed, and I kind of don't want it to. I think it's the cutest thing. So when they further into the video, they do that because the students watch that every morning and they do the Pledge of Allegiance, and every single student says, I pledge of allegiance. So thank you so much for letting me brag about my school, my students, my staff. We are very proud of the work. I am very proud. I'm just one person. I'm part of the team. I'm very proud of the work that we do and our students and their achievement. And I think we're just gonna continue to achieve all of those goals.
Love that you went to school there, for one. How many of your staff actually went to school there?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so I know Lori Johnson was a student there. Alicia, I don't think she went to LAE. I think she went to Grandview. Alicia and I worked together at Grandview years and years ago, so we all just like come back together. I think there's
Elisa and Nita.
Elisa Nita, yes. Margaret is from New York. I'm trying to go down my hallway. Cindy Parker has just been like at the district in the schools for so many years that I don't know if she was a student here or she was a teacher here when I was a student. She was. Trying to go down my hallways.
Okay, maybe next time.
Rosa Bosio. Yeah, I'll have to see who's in alumnus of LAE. Any other questions?
I do have a question. Going back to the achievements, mentioned phenomenally that it was like somewhere around 370 students were a couple of years behind grade level, and by the end of the years, but the 3/4 of them are no longer. Have you done that baseline yet for this school year? Are you seeing also lower numbers at this point to start out with as far as behind?
Yeah, and it's typical for the iReady assessment for us to see that summer slide. And the iReady is based on the full year of skill. So they test a little bit lower at the beginning of the year, even than they really are able to achieve. But it's a testament to the teachers are teaching those standards and they're really getting through a whole lot through the school year, even with how many days did we miss last year? 18, 19? You know, it's a 10% of our school year that we lose, and we're still seeing a lot of achievement and growth. All right, thank you.
Point 6, business services presentation on the sale of GO bond.
I would like to welcome up to the front, and the microphone's already on, Jason Chung of Gilman Rock and Associates. So thank you for being here and traveling up the mountain today. Jason has spoke for many years off and on at our district. I think even when we refinanced our bonds and with going out for Measure A. So he's had a lot of history as working with Adam, who's met in person many times too. So we have a handout. Jason did this, I did not. I don't want to take credit, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the mic.
Great, thank you for that introduction, Ms. Hartman, and good evening, board members. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll be giving a presentation on the district's potential issuance of general obligation bonds. And later tonight in the agenda, we will be asking the board to consider the adoption of a resolution that allows the finance team to go out to sell bonds later this month. And so on slide 2, I'll start with a quick update on the municipal market and where interest rates are. And so for conventional loans like a home mortgage or a commercial loan, your interest rate normally is tied to the 10-year treasury rate. When we sell municipal bonds for school districts, we track a different index called municipal market data. And that's acronym is MMD. And so on the bottom left chart of this slide shows the historical ranges of the MMD rates for the last 20 years. And all the way from years 1 through 30. So for context, during COVID, when rates were at their all-time historical lows, you could borrow for 30 years at about a 1.2%. Crazy to think about in today's times, but that was how low it was back then. But it also has been as high as 6% in the last 20 years. You see the high range of that 30-year bar. The horizontal green line is where the yield curve is as of September 8th. And so as of today, if you went out to borrow for 1 year, you probably get about 2.15%. If you borrow out for 30 years, you probably get 4.32%. Since September 8th, however, that 30-year rate has gone down for the benefit of your taxpayers, for the benefit of your district. It's currently at about 4.21%. Doesn't sound like a huge difference, only about 0.12. When we're talking about $18 million, that results in hundreds of thousands of interest that was saved for your taxpayers. So it's definitely an improved market than where we've been in the past months, even the past few weeks. The chart on the right shows where the Federal Open Market Committee is doing. And you may have heard that yesterday, the Federal Reserve lowered the federal funds rate by 25 basis points and potentially 2 more rate cuts in October and December. And that's all a result really of 2 things. The lackluster jobs report that was in August, there is concern about the labor economy weakening. And so one thing the Fed does, one of their mandates is to have maximum employment. And so to do that is to lower the rates that would spur business economic activity. And then the other sign is that there's a lot of weakness. Again, I mentioned the labor markets, and then also the Fed is focusing on growing the strength of the labor market. They also have to tackle inflation. That's their second mandate, having stable prices. But right now, their main mandate is really focusing on improving the jobs numbers. And so because of that expectation of lower rates, rates have already started to come down in the past few weeks to the benefit, again, of your taxpayers. So again, really, since when we compare rates from now to the beginning of summer, it's the lowest they've been in that time. On slide 3 shows your district's historical assessed valuation since 2002. And assessed value is the taxable value in your district. So it's different than the market value, what you might see what your home is worth on Realtor or Zillow. So assessed value is what determines how much these bonds cost your taxpayers each year. And so the higher growth that we see in this chart on the left each year, that's better for your district because every time we sell bonds, we assume the payments grow at a certain clip. And so when your assessed value grows above what we project, that results in lower costs for your taxpayers, which we all want to see. And so you see in the last 5 to 10 years, you've averaged north of 4 to almost 9% in certain years. When you go back to the last 20 years, a pretty long historical time frame, you're averaging well north of 4%. For this measure and all of your previous bonds, we've assumed 3.5% growth. So again, we want to be conservative, so we outperform our projections, meaning lower rates for your taxpayers. On slide 4 shows the district's outstanding bonds that are currently being repaid, and they total just over $15 million. And what's shown on the right are what's known as call dates. And these are dates where you have the option as an issuer to refinance for lower rates. This is a little different than as a homeowner, you kind of have an option to go out for a new 30-year rate. With municipal bonds, you're locked out for a period of 10 years. And then once that 10 years is up, you are able to refinance. And so in 2017, when I was at your board about 8 years ago, we did refinance some prior bonds. Those bonds, again, are coming up to be refinanced in 2027. So if interest rates are cooperative in about 2 years' time, you'll likely see myself or my boss before you asking to consider refinancing that bond. And so we're continuously monitoring that, but 2027 is the earliest time you are able to refinance those bonds. On slide 5 shows the financing plan for the 18 million of bonds that will come from Measure E. And as a background, Measure E was approved by voters last November for a total of 71 million. Very strong voter support at 60.93%. At this day and age, getting anywhere above 60% is considered very strong. A lot of districts on the election night were kind of biting our fingernails. They're right at that 55% threshold. To get nearly 61% is really a signal of the strong support your community has shown. And so just kudos to the community on coming out strong for that. On the top right chart shows the projected tax rates of what they would look like once these Series A bonds are sold. You notice that we don't go the full $27 rate for the whole time. That's because we're doing a phased issuance program. We're only selling about 18 million of the total 71 million that was approved. And we're doing that in phases because we need to have room for the second, third, fourth series of bonds. And that's shown in the projection right below that, where we show the full projection. And so Assuming 3.5% growth again, you would likely be able to access the full 71 million by year 2033. Your assessed value has outperformed this 3.5% projection every year, in most cases. So in all likelihood, you'll be able to access the 71 million on an earlier time frame than what we're showing here now. And again, this is a flexible schedule. If you need a little bit more in 2027, as opposed to 17 million, we can tweak this as you sell bonds in the future, no problem. And again, as a unified district, you are legally allowed to go up to $60. However, you are very cognizant of your community's responses and concerns about taxes. And so you honored your tax rate commitment at $27 per 100,000. So it's our job as your financial advisor to make sure your tax rates each year don't exceed that 27 each year, just for this measure B. So in closing, we have our upcoming steps for the transaction. And last week we did some credit rating activities. We were able to maintain your strong A+ credit ratings earlier this week. And then tonight we're here before you to ask for the board's consideration to allow the district to price bonds later this month. And October 1st is when we're hoping to lock in your rates and price those bonds. And approximately 2 weeks later, on October 15th, is when the district would actually receive those building fund project funds at public again. So you'd be able to spend your project dollars at that point. So yeah, that completes my presentation, and appreciate being here. I'm happy to address any questions.
I have one question. Can you explain to me a little bit more on the refinancing of the bonds? Because I'm just coming from layman's term as far as like a house refinance where you're paying principal at the end and paying interest at the beginning. Does that create a situation where you end up in the long term paying more interest?
So that's a great question. So yeah, it's the same similar concept where you can refinance to lower your payments. How a home mortgage sometimes work is you go out for a brand new 30-year rate and you have just a lower annual payment, but you pay a longer term. With municipal bonds, you are stuck to the original term. And so these 2017 GO refunding bonds, they only went out to 2038 because that was the original length of the two probably 2007 bonds that were sold. And so when we refinance, hopefully in 2027, we are not allowed to refinance out for 30 years. We have to maintain a 2038 final maturity. So that helps ensure that you when you do refinancing, you have to make sure that the savings are able to be achieved on that same time frame. You can't kind of fudge the numbers and show a lower annual payment by switching it.
Quick question. You had mentioned that we were able to maintain an A+ rating. Who provides that credit rating?
So we bought that from Standard & Poor's. So you probably heard of them. Moody's is another big one, but you historically use Standard & Poor's. They're one of the 3 main rating agencies that use stuff.
And Jordan, the full report is attached to your Friday update for we just got it yesterday.
Awesome.
And A+ is the highest of them.
So A+ is actually not the highest. It's considered, I think, the 5th highest in general, but overall it's kind of the most common rating for school districts to see. Yeah. When you see a lot of the credit characteristics you see of higher rated are community funded, basic aid. They kind of have partial taxes sometimes. A lot of Northern California districts have that. So other districts that have kind of other alternative revenue sources tend to have higher ratings. But still, A+ is still considered a very high investment goal.
And what does that rating do to us for our costs?
So an A+ rating, I guess if you could kind of equivalent it to a FICO score, kind of like in the high 600s, you're getting a pretty fair rate. If you were in like a AA category, a AAA+ category, you would be in the 800 FICO score. You'd be getting absolute rates. But again, you're getting still very competitive rates. Still, and again, we're selling school district general obligation bonds. These are considered the very highest, safest municipal type of credit because the repayment of these bonds are guaranteed by the county treasurer's office. It's not a revenue bond where there's a chance the municipality can go bankrupt in some cases. With these bonds, if your tax base does suffer, the treasurer tax collector is forced to levy at whatever rate is necessary. So it's our job to be conservative in our projections to make sure that rate doesn't get too high. But again, these bonds are ultimately guaranteed by the county treasurer, which makes investors seek those on them.
Question in terms of the $27 tax rate and also having already have bonds that are, just recently issued, so they're showing up already on tax bills. So is that cap $27 strictly for our Measure B, or is that, and so what we have left over is not included in that?
Yes, that's correct. You do have bonds outstanding to a 2008 measure, and they've traditionally cost about $13 to $15 per 100,000. And so likely when tax bills go out this October, in a few weeks' time, they will see probably two lines, one for the 2008 measure, one for this new 2024 measure. It should come out to around $42 per 100,000, because you have 15 existing.
And the $60 that we were talking about earlier will be that combined amount in terms of what we consider a cap for a community.
So the $60 was just a reference of how high you could legally go if you wish to. But actually, it's very prudent of you to have two bonds costing you less than what a unified can legally charge on just one. So you've done a lot with a little.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nine point seven, business services, presentation of the unaudited actuals and the enrollment report. Jenny Haberlin, chief business official.
Yeah, I'll try not to, right? Okay, thank you very much for having us tonight, of course. And tonight we are presenting the report of enrollment and our unaudited actuals. Later on in the agenda, we have an action item to approve the unaudited actuals. And the report in its entirety was attached to your agenda, but also in your board folders online. And then you can feel free to, as you read it, if you haven't done so already, earmark some questions, call me, come by, or shoot me an email. Happy to explain some of the minutia in the reporting in the report if you like. I've summarized some of the data, and a lot of this information you already know, and it'll just be review for you, but we'll highlight a couple different pages. Okay, we've had a successful close to our fiscal year 24-25. We submitted our financials and the supporting documents ahead of schedule to the county office, and they're probably reviewing them as we speak. And why are we here? We will talk about enrollment. We'll talk about the unaudited actuals. This is actual revenue and expenditures, not budgeted. And of course, these need to be board approved by September 15th of each year. Although our county office has given us permission to have it within so many days, as long as we let them know, because they know not all boards can have a board meeting necessarily sometimes before that. They used to be not as flexible with that number. That comes more into play in March and in December when we have some board legal action with our board, and we have to meet other timelines, and they're willing to work with districts. So Ed Code, yes, September 15th, but we're not late because we have that permission. So the fiscal practices and protocols, we've had this in, I think, almost every slide. It's how we align the budget with the LCAP or the LCAP with the budget, depending on how we want to report that. And then, our process throughout the year. I won't read these verbatim. Okay, we do have a budget reporting cycle from the first, July 1 through June 30th. Where we're at is we're here in the unaudited actuals in September. We will, now that the books are closed, we'll be revising, and we have been revising the current year budget, and as we'll gear up towards the second interim reporting in December. We'll look forward to the governor's. The year is going to go by so fast because January will be here, then we'll look for the governor's proposed budget for the next fiscal year. Second interim may revise, and we will just continue the cycle over again. Okay, What are the unaudited actuals? They're our final report of actual revenues and actual expenditures with some supplemental data. Why are they called unaudited? Is because we haven't audited them yet by our independent auditors. Our independent auditors usually come in the spring, summer work, sometimes in person and sometimes just remotely. And then in the fall, they issue the audit report in December. Most years they come in January and report their findings. So our independent auditors will be here next week. And with the advancement, I'm just going to say in web-based computer program and remote work for most, a lot of private industry, we have been really working continuously on and off, really since last June, in supplying the audit. So we have, uploading reports as they're done. We're sending them instead of, when I was an auditor, it would be an audit week and you'd be here with piles and 10-hour days for 5 days at a corporate office or something. So right now it's not that. They're already working on it. And they won't even probably use every day. We have them scheduled for in person next week because they'll be doing so much remotely with our district. But there's some things that just you aren't able to do behind the computer screen and reports and digging through files. So we have a wonderful relationship with our auditors, and they'll just cooperate. We don't always agree, and they'll find something maybe or maybe not, and we'll work through it. Wanted to just give a touch base on our enrollment. The highlighted in yellow is because it's still projected. These are CVED's enrollment. CVED's is a census day in October. We know that it hasn't happened yet. So therefore 25-26 is still a projection. We're refining that as we speak with our enrollment. We are, you can see that the projections here in our CVEDs were more of a declining projection still. We're seeing enrollment level off. We are already revising our enrollment, the corresponding revenue and staffing projections based on that. We're not done. We had a lot of changes this year. You saw Mr. Hanson's report on just the personnel activity. I think they had 72 changes or hires over the summer. That kind of trickles down next into business with getting these folks insured, who may change classifications, their payroll, and then the corresponding budget adjustments needed if it wasn't something that was necessarily budgeted in May or June. So we're working through that, and we will have probably updates through Friday updates on what our enrollment and correlating staffing is, and then we will have the larger report, in December with the first round.
Is TK included in these numbers?
Yes.
Yeah. TK.
Yes.
Do projections then take into consideration our TK numbers, like in terms
yes.
of then projecting out? Okay.
Yes. So we have seen growth in TK, and we've seen growth in kinder, and we've seen relatively small growth in kinder to first. So seeing those families who definitely stayed, and then possibly families who didn't either utilize our kindergarten or skipped kindergarten or used a different source. Seeing, kind of looking at that grade level to grade level. Preschool, special ed preschool, which is part of REM's program, is not included in these numbers because we do not obtain ADA for them. That's the one at the LAE. And of course, the preschool that we're piloting at BOE it is a Head Start program that we're involved in. So it's not in our area system for attendance and staffing ratios.
Just a quick question. To be considered a small district, that's under 2,500 ADA, correct?
So this was our enrollment and duplicated count. It is projections. We ran enrollment today. We're really about 2895, 2894, depending on the day. It's fluctuating 1 or 2 students every day. And we're still working through, the student database on getting kids coded correctly and, just making sure we report them and any duplicates, between two schools, maybe they transferred schools, getting that worked out. So on 9/5, when I was working on this, presentation, we were at 2893. So, but still, taking a little bit of time to sort through and make sure it's as clean as we can get. This is our history of our LCFF by object code. And what I wanted to point out here, of course, 24-25 is actual, 25-26 was at a point in time. We know that, and so subsequent years will change. But one of the things I wanted to point out is the year-over-year change in total dollars versus what the COLA was. So you can see going into 24-25, we had a year-to-year change in total dollars received of a negative 1.61%. But the COLA we received from the state is 1.07. And sometimes that's the way COLA works, it's an increase on an amount per student, not an increase to your total funds. So looking at what dollar that COLA represents versus what just applied to your whole need. So the focus really needs to be on the year-to-year change in dollars, not necessarily a percentage. We know 25-26 will change when we reconcile enrollment and project new staffing, and also too projecting ADA because we're funded at an ADA in April. So we will, even with if we feel good about our enrollment, we have 9 months to get through to look at our ADA too until it's final.
You're mentioning the APA. Last year we had a rather late start in turmoil or fires in the school year with Saturday school. Are we planning on starting Saturday schools earlier this year?
I believe it's already taken off and scheduled, and dates are, is there one this Saturday, next Saturday? Yeah, I think there's some excitement. I need to be maybe a little more animated to compete with Molly over there. Like it's Saturday school, right? So the 25-26 though, you can see, we know this number will change, of course. But the COLA is 2.3, but our dollar amount increase is 2.19. So just paying attention to that dollar is not necessarily a percentage. Okay. And this is more for your information. What makes up LCFF in total? This is 24-25 data. Of our total 36 million and change, or just under 37 million, we have a base grant. We have grade span adjustments that are applied to that base grant, supplemental concentration grant. We have things like added home to school transportation and an added dollar amount to support the aides and the lower class sizes in TK. So that's what makes up. And the supplemental concentration expenditures are the expenditures that must be identified in the LCAP as well. At minimum, more can be included in the LCAP, of course, but at minimum. And that's one of the things that as we're building as Jen's building the LCAP, we're working together on and is identifying those exact elements. Picture of the same data. Okay, a history of our COLA and our projected COLA. Your information. And the graph is just our total unrestricted and restricted 24-25 expenditures for the entire district. This is Fund 1 only. We had some expenditures in other funds like Fund 13, which is our cafeteria fund, and Fund 40, which had the proceeds from the sale of Blue Jay, which we were able to utilize those dollars for the red eye roofing. So this is Fund 1 only. The next couple of slides is just the by major category, what made up our actual 24-25 data. From revenue, federal revenue, or things like IDEA, special ed, Title I, CSI, things like that. Local revenue would be like the SELPA dollars, interest. State would be things like restricted lottery. And then our major categories and the percent of the total expenditure for each one. Okay, you can see that on the unrestricted side, we had a deficit. We deficit spent by $799,000, almost $800,000. And that's a lot lower than we have been. But there's two components I just wanted to highlight. Number one, we swept and maximized a lot of restricted and one-time dollars last year because we had funds that were expiring, and I have a slide to talk about that. Another item too that sways that number, it's really about 1.2 in deficit spending. Because at the end of the year, we have to do kind of a book entry only, maybe part of a GASB rule. Some of you are familiar with GASB, that's a governmental accounting standards board, and they issue rules and laws for accounting purposes. And one of their newer, it's not brand new, but one of the newer rules under this new GASB is that we have to book our fair market value of our cash in the county treasury. Okay, so it's really an artificial revenue number. This year it was about 350,000. So there's some artificial revenue without the corresponding expenditures in that. And we don't budget for that. It's just something that we have to book, and then it gets reversed the next time. So I wanted to just, that looks a little bit more positive, but for two reasons. Because of the sweeping of the one-time funds and maximizing some restricted dollars beyond what we've been able to or chose to in the past. And that kind of artificial entry that we have to do just because it's the law. And to note about this, I'm not an expert at all, but from just listening around the room when I'm in our county offices, is that our county treasury for San Bernardino County does do very well. And they, on their return for investments is, I haven't verified that myself by going to the reports, but for being told in the meetings I go to. Okay, so our ending fund balance after our reserves, just over 13 or just under $14 million. And of that though, when I subtract the fair market value of the cash, 13.3 would be a more accurate number.
Just out of curiosity, what are the second and third columns?
Oh, there's no title. Unrestricted, restricted, and total.
Oh,
My apologies for missing on that title.
the first one's unrestricted, then restricted, then total.
Yeah.
Oh.
For me, it's just an Excel spreadsheet that I cut and paste on each side, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
And then of that 13.3, these are the components by category. Some of them have been in our reserves for many years, and some of them are new. And some of them will have some future decisions to make, and may not stay reserved depending on future decisions by the board. But until we have those discussions, right now they're being reserved. And with the unaudited actuals, although I start working on them during this time, we don't submit multi-year projections with the unaudited actuals to the county. It's a single year.
So the total here of about the 13 million. As far as the breakdown in the column above it comes to what, maybe about half of that amount. Is the other half not just, what category is the other half of that, those monies in?
Are you on this page?
Yeah, I'm on the end balance, yes.
That page.
Yes, that page.
Okay, so are you looking for what makes up the
So if you take a look at the column of numbers, 1.6 million, and the 110,000, and then the subtotal of 4.9 million. That column there is totaling 6.5
right, so
million.
the net is the 13 million
Right.
ending fund balance.
So the other $6.5 million-ish then are what category is it in? Because these are all the, these are the different funds. So
I think probably better to answer that,
Okay,
is we start with 18 million. Okay, on the screen, 18,584,000. Less the assigned and the restricted, okay, brings you to the 13 million dollars ending reserve, unallocated reserve balance that will then be carried forward if these restrictions stay in place.
Okay, so this is all unallocated funds,
Correct.
however, these are the specific categories of some of
the
those funds.
18, so really the ending fund balance is 18.5. And then we have our minimum 3% reserve. And then we have these other reserves to bring us down to 13.3. Okay. Yeah, so when we look at our multi-year projections, when we're used to looking at that 3-year span, that 13 would be carried over and addressing the deficit in the next year. And then carried over and looking at the deficit, that you'll see that 13 million shrink over the next 3 to 5 years. So I'll try to, I'll make that more clear. All right, some other fund detail is in our reporting. We have to report our activity in our ASBs. That's part of, that's been around for several years also. Our child nutrition, Fund 13, deferred maintenance, Fund 14, special reserve fund, Fund 40, what we talked about with the roof. You can see that we've spent that, most of that with a balance left over. That's restricted to capital projects. And then we have our capital facility funds, Fund 25, and that is our developer fees. Right. We also have restricted funds that are outside of the unrestricted ending fund balance, and they're you have to think of them as little mini sub funds. They can't. Some of them can, within guidelines, be swept or maximized. We like to call it more than swept. But these are some balances of our restricted funds. We have things like ELOP, okay, as a balance because we had a lot of funds from the beginning carried over. Things like the Educator Effectiveness Grant, restricted lottery. We have things like our AB 841 HVAC, the Cal Shape program. We've received the money already. That's project's going to be, by the time we finish it, it's going to be over a span of 2 years. So these are restricted balances for those particular reasons and those reasons only. Yes, we try to find something like if there's something where on the unrestricted side of the budget that's an allowable expense of one of those, we're going to want to try to capture that if we can. But then, these are it kind of in their own little sub fund.
I have a question. Is the HG's access to Sept grant and the HG learning loss, they're not ongoing funding, so that's what's left in the pot. We don't really talk about it at all, but I know that some of our council cost is attached to that, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't get
Counselor,
I don't believe any of our counselors are attached to that, but Jen is the master of these 2 grants.
yeah, so we can, there's no salary in there, because I know they aren't ongoing, so just making sure. No salary in there, only cost of conferences and ATG support or whatever shit to the colleges. So no salary, just UC and just covering the conferences for the ATG aligns with our partnerships. So like you're going to Cal State San Bernardino, CCGI, those conferences, so but no stuff.
I think the counselor that you're thinking about is being paid for at a CSI funds right now.
Right.
Now that technically is not ongoing, although we expect.
I know
more
it's
rounds.
I know, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure, and then what, in terms of those 2 grants, what else besides conferences, because weren't we supposed to have a little HGG plan? And
Absolutely. In fact, we're in the process of revamping that with the remaining funds to make sure they're updated.
We're looking at things like our partnership with CCGI and Cal State San Bernardino with the rapid admissions field trip that's coming up for our high school seniors that are going to have automatic admissions to Cal State San Bernardino with our MOU. We have a field trip that's coming up November 20th for those students. So that's really exciting. It's going to help offset that. We're looking at subsidizing AP tests this year to offset some costs for our kids for paying for those tests. Work with Gunther this week to look at on average what those costs look like for our students and how we might be able to get those costs down for them for an additional year. But as you mentioned, those HUGs, we're looking at spending, essentially by the end of the year because they do end. And then also AVID is another component supporting our high school AVID, like professional development, summer institutes, things like that. So most of our partnerships, again, aligning with Cal State, aligning with CCGI, AVID, AP tests, trying to think of all of them, not having it in front of me, but.
So I guess the other point to this is that in trying to, the whole goal in the grant, because the way it was worded was, we're going to give you this money because if you are under 60%, and then we're going to give you a little yay for you if you're over 60%. So my whole thing is that how are we encouraging, or are we using any part of this grant to really encourage and break through some of the factors that apathy, household barriers for kids to take their HUG classes and then pass them with a C. That's the other piece, right? Do we have parts of that, or are we addressing that with these two grants?
Right, so there's two grants. One of them is the Success and Access Grant, and the other one is the Learning Loss Mitigation. We're also looking at supporting the tutoring for High for this school year. So we're looking at that ongoing tutoring cost
After school?
Yes,
Got it.
using the APG.
Okay. That's some good questions sometimes, buddy. No meeting spot. He gives me this look. He's like, most of the time.
Hey, and I wanted to highlight some of the areas when I talked about maximizing restricted dollars. And some of the savings that we had or unexpected revenue that we had. So, and you can see here, this is not exhaustive because even if a grant maybe had $1,000 left, we're like, find something we can transfer over to it. But the big ticket items, and I wanted to highlight, we did have, transfers for the remaining learning recovery block grant that were approximately $350,000. We had maximizing indirect costs when a program had remaining funds, and maybe typically we didn't charge indirect costs because we wanted that all to go to that program. But we had money left over, we were able to maximize charging indirect costs, even to programs like ELOP and cafeteria, which we didn't have a history of necessarily charging some programs like that because of wanting the dollars to stay with the kids. But with some funds running at excess and surpluses, and there is a general fund cost for all of our time and things like that, being able to maximize those is a good practice to give some relief to the general fund. We had unrestricted expenditures charged to ESSER of over $200,000. We were able to transfer some special education expenditures last year over to the remaining ESSER accounts also because those had to be spent by last year. So, and then we had a grant that offset last year and this year, 2 of our psychologists. And then we had some one-time facility use fees, and that is the increased fees from renting out Grandview on the staging area. And then we received a higher transportation reimbursement from the CDE. That is always a year behind. So that revenue received was for the 23-24 school year. We get it in the next year. And we can estimate the we don't really know what it is until the books are closed and those final transportation expenditures are submitted. And so then we get, you know, a certain percentage if it's over the amount part of the LCFF. So we have an estimate usually what that is. And then that was about double, if not a little more than double of the last two. It's a relatively new payment that our district can participate in. Okay, moving forward, as we kind of speak and working on even today, post and carryover, and we are continuing the 25-26 budget revisions. Hopefully those will be done in the next few weeks. Post updated LCSF and TK and ELA funds. I think 2 of those are already done. Post new discretionary block grant. Begin working on revised multi-year projections. We do have some work to do on maintaining long-term solutions to maintain fiscal solvency. And we do have concerns with, it's a blessing that we don't have declining enrollment, but flat enrollment has its own challenges too. An increased cost for utilities, fares, health insurance. We have relatively low COLAs, which is COLA only environment. It's really a cut because all of our natural increase in costs are not covered by COLAs. We have a statewide trend of unfunded mandates. We have an increase in special ed costs. That's not unique to RIM as well. We do have deficit spending trends, which you know is something that the district and the county are committed to work on, and that's going to with revitalizing the budget committee. We have the attendance committee to work on higher attendance rates, which transfers, for student success, but also into dollars. And then working on our fiscal solvency plan that will be presented, the draft will be presented in December at the board meeting. And then there is still some concern over the future of federal funding. Oh yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, it's a small piece of that pie, but I believe the Secure Rural Schools Act was not renewed and wasn't included in HR 1. Are we anticipating just to not receive those?
So the recommendation from the county when that funding source started, I'm thinking about 10 or 12 years ago, we never budget for that fund because every year it had to get reauthorized anyway. And so it was and for RIM, last year was only about $19,000, but it has been $30,000 to $40,000 in the past, up to 50, 60. And so because it has to be reauthorized after we do our budget, the common practice is to just kind of incorporate those funds into like a positive at year end, then budget them. So it's money that we won't see as kind of a nicety, but it's not budgeted dollars that we're going to have to find. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we already talked about the independent auditors. We've talked on and off about monitoring enrollment and adjusting our projections. We have to review our current and restricted dollars. I mentioned in talking about the slide earlier about our fiscal solvency action plan with a draft and discussion by first interim, which is the December board meeting. And then, of course, continued collaboration with our stakeholders and employee groups. And that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, with some of the commitments that we have that are reducing our reserves at the moment, I'm wondering if there are other commitments, particularly maybe with the one-time block grant that we might be interested in looking into. To set aside some monies to contribute to our section 1 funds.
And that is one of the unspent dollars from last year that I put really in a generic on the slide. If you look at slide numbers, the line doesn't have numbers on it, but where we about the components of the ending fund balance. If we look at some prior year budgeted but unspent dollars, and depending on if the need is still there and having that deeper conversation or maybe through Friday updates or in the board, if we choose to continue with some of those that we just didn't get, to be a chance to work on but budgeted last year, or versus some of this one-time dollars, that we can definitely bring that discussion back, say, do we repurpose some of this or part of the discretionary block grant for that? We can certainly have that discussion.
Awesome.
Have some expenditures that possibly could be reimbursed to the district for Measure E expenses. How does that fit in with all of this?
That would be after speaking with our independent auditors, we would report that the general fund as revenue when we do it instead of accruing for it. That was one of the things, depending on how far that 18 million will go, right? That do we accrue for that, knowing that we do have an interest to pay back the general fund, and that's the LAE and the mountain generators. So, and the recommendation was, because we're not there yet, we haven't sold the bonds, that if we do choose to pay back the fund one for those expenditures, it would just get reported as revenue to fund one. And then it would just kind of fall out to the greater good, in the ending fund balance. It wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't see that on an expenditure side on the budget. It would just come in as an other revenue. But yeah, we talked about that with our auditors, posing the look, do I accrue it? Do I not? And it's really like, what if something happens and you didn't sell the bonds? So,
Thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
okay, thank you very much.
10.0 discussion information items. 10.1 legislative and advocacy report, fiscal impact none. So Jordan, I just asked Jordan to send me the final edited platform. Senator Joe Vogt is having a coffee and meat in the desert on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I was invited to that as well. I don't know if I thought, I asked Jordan, he didn't receive an invitation. Oh, you did. Okay, so everybody got invited to it? Okay. All right, cool. There you go. I sent you guys, I'm not gonna go over, I sent you guys the update from a couple of advisors on the very hot topic bills that and their status. That was Barrett Snyder. I forwarded all of you guys that, so I'm not really gonna go over that. We'll just see how these play out at the end. You guys should have received, hopefully from CSBA, the action alert, the advocacy action alert about the substitute teachers to encourage the governor to sign it. So I'm encouraging all of you guys tonight to do that. CSBA says that actually has a huge impact, because what happens is when a legislator or the governor, their aides, what they're doing is they're monitoring how much is coming in on a particular piece of legislation. And when they're just getting slammed over and over and over and over and over with this, it's already rewritten for you from CSBA. You just need to put your information and you send it. It does make an impact, even though you may think, oh, it's a form letter. No, it actually becomes a headache for the staff. It becomes urgent, and it does put pressure on the legislator or the governor to listen and take into account CSBA's positions, which, obviously on the 60-day sub, we took a position to support that. So please send that in. So just keep track of those controversial bills and see where they're headed. And I sent that to you guys. I'm not going to refresh it. I don't remember the number for the bill, the one that was related to anti-Semitism. Was concerned to see that part of what was added to the bill was related to having everything that was being brought up in the classroom was to be factual, where sometimes we're not talking facts, we're talking concepts, ideas, and that concerned me.
Yeah, and that's the problem is as the bills wind through and they become amended and amended, amended. And something 30 days ago gets drastically watered down or changed to where CSBA will actually, because this is being on legislative committee, CSBA will take and oppose or support, but there's several bills where the bills went sideways and CSBA took an opposed position. So that's the issue as the bills go forward and they're being negotiated, and some bills are being, kind of like one is being massaged at the expense of another. One is the charter school accountability, the non-brick and mortar ones, that because there was so much fraud, especially the case in San Diego, and it has changed. And the one that was opposed by unions and CSBA and everything else suddenly like got legs. And you're like, how did that happen? So that's the problems with it. And, and of course, 495 going forward, that one is creating a lot of chit chat. There is a lot when we talk about making sure you read different source materials, making sure you have the facts of 495, but we'll see how that goes. That bill is the one that extends the definition of who is authorized to take care of a child and make the choices for education and medical, to expand it to, a teacher or a family friend. It's not just family, your aunt and uncle or whatever. So, we'll see how that goes. Just as I said, there's some bills that sort of went sideways in the last 30 days. So, anyways, you guys have the update on those bills. And if you have any questions, let me know.
So next week is the town hall with Senator Joe. And hoping that I'm planning on going, but maybe between the five of us, if we can catch her here, or maybe if anybody is attending on Saturday to see
I'm
if
gonna go on Saturday. So what I thought I'd do is bring the platform. Jordan taught something that he's going to fix. Oh, look at, he's so good. He just did it. And then asking her staff person if what their thought is if we want to meet with her prior to the town hall, or if we want to do it separate, since she might be just focused on the town hall. What would be better for our case to talk to her about our district, the positives, and introducing our platform to her. So I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to be there at Senator Joe Bogue's coffee and meet set up by CSBA in the desert, 10 a.m. Thanks for attending that. Anything else? Eleven point one, we already handled. 11.2, personnel services, approval of resolution number 25/26-5. Authorized district professional experience comparable to 24 units for teaching transitional kindergarten fiscal impact plan. Do I have a motion? Jordan.
Sorry.
Scott, discussion. Calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.3, educational services, approval of public hearing to approve and adopt resolution 25/26-04. So moved. Cindy?
Sorry.
Scott? Any discussion? Calling for the vote, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.4, education. What was that? No, we have, okay, so yes, so yeah, correct. So approval of, yeah. 11.4, educational services, approval and adoption of the report and resolution number 25/26-044, public textbook sufficiency. What was that? Oh, for pupil, sorry, textbook sufficiency and instructional materials compliance for the 2025-2026 fiscal year, fiscal impact $35,000 even, budget source lottery, instructional materials. So moved. Cindy? Scott, any discussion? Calling for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.5, educational services approval of contract with Keith Hawkins, Real Inspiration Inc., Days of Understanding for November 3rd and 4th, 2025. Fiscal impact $9,200 even, budget source, site, local control, funding formula, LCFF funds. What was that?
Just a point of order, Madam President, I thought we actually had to hold the public hearing. Right? With that.
You do have that.
Okay, so do we have the coverage? We
Yes,
don't.
we do.
Yeah.
It's all right here. in the computer notes.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So,
This is back to 10.
so moving back to 11.3. So holding the public hearing. So procedures for public hearing. Public hearings are required on specific items such as the local control accountability plan and budgets. Persons who wish to address the governing board on a matter set for a public hearing must complete a speaker's form and submit it to the executive secretary to the superintendent before the meeting is called to order. Once the board president opens the public hearing, individual speakers are then permitted up to 5 minutes to support, oppose, or otherwise offer an opinion on the issue. The board limits the total time for public input to 20 minutes. When public input is concluded, the board president will close the public hearing. Decorum. The governing board is interested in the ideas and opinions of the stakeholders and endeavors to incorporate community views into its deliberations and decisions. At the same time, it must be able to conduct its business in an organized and efficient manner, free from material disruption. Therefore, in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323 and Government Code Section 54957.9, audience members may not disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of this meeting. Open meeting laws do not confer a privilege or protection for expression beyond that otherwise provided by law. The public's understanding and cooperation are appreciated. Public hearing opened at 7:32 p.m. Any comments, anything? Okay. To go ahead and close this public hearing at 7:32 p.m. That was quick. When can you miss it? Okay, thank you for that correction. Okay. I'm going to continue forward then to 11.5. Educational services, approval of the contract with Keith Hawkins, Real Inspiration Inc., Days of Understanding for November 3rd, 4th, 2025. Fiscal impact $1,200, 0 cents. Budget source, site, local control funding formula, LCFF funds. Do I have a motion? Cindy. Jordan. Any discussion? Calling for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 11.6, business services. Resolution number 25/26-02, authorizing the issuance of Rim of the World Unified School District election of 2024 general obligation bonds, Series A, and actions related thereto. Fiscal impact none.
Go.
Good. Scott,
Second.
Bill. Is there any discussion? So he is very excited at no discussion. Calling for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Yep. 11.7, business services, approval of resolution number 25/26-03 for adopting GANN limit, GAN, fiscal impact none. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second,
Scott and then Jordan, any discussion on this one?
can you explain the limit?
Stop it.
Sorry.
He's
That's okay.
being, no, he's being facetious. Don't do it.
Thank you.
I thought that was the joke, but I was, although I will, I think it goes back to what, 1976? That'd be great.
God,
Point of order, he did ask for this one.
it's older than you.
I rescind.
If you didn't hear it, he rescinded his request.
Yeah.
Calling for the vote then? All in favor?
I.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 12.0 consent calendar. I'm gonna take a few moments to look through it and see if there's anything you want to have hold.
You guys, you are like two families. We're done.
Okay, so we're not pulling any of them, so let me go ahead and call for a motion for 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, 12.5, 12.6, 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, 12.10, 12.11, 12.12, 12.13, 12.14, 12.15, 12.16, and 12.17.
So move.
Scott,
Second.
Bill, any discussion? Calling for the vote, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Skipping 13, 14.0, governance team future agenda items planning. 14.1, time allotted for the Board of Trustees to request agenda items for future meetings. Okay.
It would just be.
I would like to have a review of the Equity and Social Justice Committee. I think we may have put that on for something in the future. But I do think we need to have a board conversation about the Equity and Social Justice Committee. We are trying to do that in creative ways, but I still think that the way we formed the committee was appropriate, and that needs to be looked at again by the board.
Didn't we add this to our governance calendar?
No, not like. Sorry, we had put it on our governance calendar in prior years as a report out from the committee. But Bill is asking, let's have a conversation about where are we at? Where do we want to go with this committee? How does it look? That continuing the work and honoring the work of that committee with Dr. Judy and going forward with how do we want it to work? I know that we're using the LCAP as the student piece of that, but we haven't really been factored in the parent voice and those kinds of things in adding to, and that was a place where the parents actually also came and had their voice heard about their their views of our campuses and our climate and culture and things. So I think that's what Bill is asking, is a deep dive.
We can add that to the agenda.
I would also request, would be lovely to get some, report about, what's happening with conclusion. Maybe have an opportunity to celebrate, MPH's award. I know I'm excited about going to that next, fantastic, but we want to celebrate. Maybe this is an opportunity to talk inclusion and also celebrate.
We can add that to the agenda as well.
When is the special ed report? It's on the governance calendar. Oh, it's for a while. Okay, never mind. Inclusion committees have done great things and there's maybe some understandable there, so. Yeah. Did they keep up with things like this? Oh, I bet you they will when they're here. Up to celebration. Any other? No, 15.0, future meeting dates, regular board meeting. October 16th, 2025, 4:00 p.m., closed session, 5:30 p.m., welcome session, 24740 Sandwich Way, Crestline, California, 92325. Then regular board meeting on November 20th, 2025, 4 p.m. closed session, 5:30 p.m. open session, 24740 Sandwich Way, Crestline, California, 92325. 16.0, we do not need to recess to closed session, so 17.0 adjournment, 17.1 adjourn meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Bill? Second. Cindy? I'm assuming no discussion. I'm calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The meeting is